Raleigh was frustrated. His hands sorted everything around him as his eyes darted from place to place, searching for that note. The note was written to him by his grandfather, but the piece of paper seemed to have disappeared. Raleigh had read it many times, but the words were meaningless then and now were forgotten. But what if he could somehow jog his memory to bring the message from the old man back to his mind?
What's wrong with you? I thought he came over so we could hang out and play.
I'm looking for something.
Really? What'd you lose?
Nothing really.
Well, then let's get out of here.
Raleigh and his cousin left the house, one ready for a great day of adventure, while the other was obviously lost in his thoughts.
Back at home, were you looking for that note from your relative?
It's from my grandpa, but how do you know?
Well, you told me about it. You said that it didn't make sense, but your granddad said that it would one day. You haven't found it yet? Do you know what it's about?
It was about people, but because Papa always talks about people.
Dear Riley, because I'm your grandfather, I want to teach you some things that I have learned over the years. But I realize I may not have long enough to share these things. So I decided to put what I want you to know in writing so you'll never forget. This note probably won't mean much now. It will probably mean much more later. When the time comes, you will understand what I have written.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, a boy shoved Raleigh.
Why don't you watch where you're going?
Sorry, I guess I wasn't thinking.
Why don't you think about watching where you're going?
His mind flashed back to his grandfather's note. He somehow knew it was just the opposite of what he had just experienced.
Sometimes people will be unkind to you. They will become angry at what you have done when you didn't mean to hurt them. They may be jealous when you don't know why. Always be quick to forgive them, just as God was quick to forgive you.
His cousin seemed to have disappeared as Raleigh continued through the park. He found himself approaching a group of girls. What were they doing? Pretending? Acting?
You want to play, Riley?
They're acting out their favorite stories. Or books.
Yeah, watch and guess what they're doing.
Riley felt uncomfortable about stopping, but not wanting to be impolite, he sat and watched. The girls were having a wonderful time acting out their story. At first, of course, Raleigh had no idea what the story was. Before long, he began to think he was looking at princes and princesses. It was fascinating to watch some of the girls play the parts of boys. The movements of the girls seemed so fluid, almost perfectly choreographed, although in other ways, very much created as they went along. He wasn't sure why, but Raleigh somehow knew that his grandfather would approve of what he was seeing, and that he was kind enough to stop and watch.
Take time for other people. Don't just be interested in your friends. You'll never learn anything new or make new friends unless you listen to what others want to tell you, and you stop and watch the things they are doing. You will learn a lot that way.
A harsh voice spoke.
Hey, look at them.
What they're doing is dumb. I want to go finish our soccer game.
Hey, I think what they're doing is cool. Let's watch them.
He joined his cousin and sat down thinking about what he had experienced. And from somewhere else, the boys seemed to be arguing about something, although Raleigh didn't know what. One boy was yelling something in what must have been Spanish, and another boy was frustrated that he couldn't understand what the boy was saying.
Why don't you talk normal? You can understand me. Why don't you talk to me?
I'm talking normal for me.
Raleigh looked toward the boy who spoke Spanish. He was still hurt. Raleigh walked toward him.
I don't know your name. I'm Riley.
I saw you drop this.
You speak English. Why didn't you speak English to that boy?
He said to be normal, I had to be like him. Why can't I be who I am?
My papa's note. How do you get this?
You dropped it. I thought it was trash until I read it.
And remember this important lesson that my grandfather once shared with me. Study it carefully and learn the wisdom it can teach you. People are different, yet all are the same. They're made in God's image to honor His name. So treat them with kindness, with love and respect, and their needs and their hurts you must never neglect. Riley, I'm very excited about the man you will become. Learn the wisdom of the little saying my grandfather taught me, and you will become a great man yourself. With love, Papa.